So here is my design, my line design. I'm pretty happy with it. And I want to show you how basically you go from this, which is nice, and this took me a while to do, I'll be honest, to something like, let me show you in my layers, this, and eventually this. And I'm not even done. There's still a couple more things I want to add to this, but how do you do that? I will tell you this right now. If the only thing you know how to do in Illustrator right now is work with the pen tool and paths and the fill and the stroke, you won't be able to do this, and you won't be able to do this. But I'm going to show you some tricks that'll make this easier for you. So let me minimize all this stuff and get back to this. Okay, so what do you do, right? I'm going to go back to this layer in this group. And before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and I just added some more stuff to it since the last time I looked at it. So I'm going to object, group it all, just to make life easier for me. Okay. Before you go any further, let's just assume that right now you only have one layer with all your paths. I have several. I'm going to take that layer and I'm going to duplicate it. Why? Because if something goes wrong, I don't want to have a situation where I don't have a backup. Of course, I always save my work as I go. So what I'm going to do is on the duplicated layer, I'm going to mess around with this. And so I've got it all copied like that. And I'm going to do something called expanding it. Let me explain what that is. So if I draw a line, and I'm going to make that line intentionally kind of thick so you can see what I'm talking about here. Make it 20 points. So it's really, really thick. And let me zoom in for a second. So that's my line, right? It's got an anchor point, another anchor point. It's got no fill, obviously, because there's nothing to fill, and it's got a stroke of black, and it's a pretty thick stroke. And obviously, as you know, I can manipulate those anchor points. But I don't really have any control over what's happening in the corners very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to go to Object, Expand. Once you do this, you can't go back. Another reason why you want to make sure you have your line set up the way you want to. So I'm going to say OK. And now the line is expanded. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. My daughter is having trouble. Come here, Maya. There you go. Okay. So my line is now expanded. What does that mean? That means now I have editable anchor points. So this is now a shape. So if I come in and do something like that, it's no longer a path. So you can see now it has no stroke, and now it has a fill black. Strange, huh? Well, that's how it works. So let's go back to this awesome design down here. Delete all that stuff. Select everything. Okay. And once you have that, I'm going to say Object, Expand. And when I do this, by the way, I don't want to mess with anything else. So I'm only going to, by the way, before I do this, I'm only going to make sure that I'm expanding just that one path. So I'm going to lock this one. In fact, I'm going to make it invisible. And I'm going to lock all this stuff because I don't want to manipulate any of that stuff. I don't want to expand that. I just want to expand this one group. Okay, so I've got it all. Object, Expand. Okay. And again, if I zoom in and I click on these, oops, it looks like I have a little mistake there, which I can fix. You can see it's now no longer paths, it's now editable anchor points. So, for example, I might come in here now. I really don't like the fact that there's that weird looking gap there. Fix that. Take a moment and fix any little problems that you might be having in your design like that. Okay, make it look as good as you possibly can. Stuff like this, you know, can be solved very easily, very quickly, just by moving stuff around. Because even though these are no longer joined together, oops, you know what, let me edit, undo. I just kind of messed that up. Undo, move. Let's do it this way. Why don't we just take this one and there we go. That looks better. Okay, you get the idea. So fix all those things. Last thing you're going to do is select everything again, and you're going to use something called Pathfinder. And I'm going to go into this in another video because it gets a little confusing, but one of these is going to be the one you click on. Don't try just clicking on them randomly. You'll have an issue, but that's the next step is Pathfinder, and then we're going to use the fill tool.